Hey everyone, welcome back to Code with Poonam. This is day 47 of our 100 days of coding challenge in JavaScript. Today's challenge is all about to check whether a given date falls on a weekend or not. So we have to check if a given date is a weekend day or not. So with this now we will proceed with our challenge and we will move to our VS Code. If we see in the VS Code, we have our question along with the sample input and output, right? So what is the question? It is written, write a JS function that takes a date as input and determines if it falls on a weekend, right? And what is a weekend? Saturday or Sunday is our weekend, right? So that also it is mentioned clearly here. And what is the input? 1st December, right? So if we check 1st December in the calendar, it falls on Sunday. That is why it is a weekend day, right? And our sixth line number, what it is mentioned, another input is given, right? So the input is what? 3rd December. It was yesterday, right? So it was Tuesday. So it's not a weekend. So if we see here properly, it has been mentioned, right? It's a weekend day and it's not a weekend day. So this we have to find out, okay? So first of all, what we will do, we will come here and we will break down this particular question. So I will write here what? JS function, okay? And what is the next important part in this question? That we have to determine that if the date given falls on a weekend or not, right? So I will take this and I will put it over here as well. Now, since this question is demanding us to check whether the given date falls on a weekend or not, so we will come here and we will define our function name as what is weekend, okay? So we will write here is weekend with the parenthesis and we will make this W as well capital, okay? So this will be our function name, okay? Now let us come here and understand this, how we are going to determine whether the given date falls on a weekend or not. So we will start with our approach. Let us come here and write down the approach. So I will just write here the approach. And in this question, we are going to use what? Date constructor function, okay? So I'll just write here what? Constructor function. Now, since it is a constructor function, we have to use it with a new keyword, right? What this new keyword will do, it will create an instance of it, right? So that is what we are going to do here. And now how we are going to write it? New space date with a parenthesis, right? And it will create what? Date object, right? And this date object is going to give us what? Current date and time. So that also I will write here, okay? Now in this question, we are not going to deal with the current date and time. We have to take date as an input, right? And then we have to determine that whether that date is a weekend or not, right? So I will take this input string and I will be writing it over here, okay? And where we are going to pass this input string, we will be passing to our date constructor function. So how we are going to write? New space date, and inside this we are going to pass it. And now what we are going to get? We will be getting the date and time with respect to the input string which we are passing, okay? Now since here we don't have a time, so we will get here 00, but we will get the date. So we will get here what? Date and time, okay? So I'll just write here, and the time will be 00 because we have not mentioned here anything. So let us just test it out. So I will write here what? Console.log, and I will write here new date with the parenthesis, and I am not going to pass here anything. Let us keep it as empty. And after this, what I will write? One more time, let us write console.log, and I will write here what? New date, and inside this we are going to pass our string, okay? So let us test it out in our terminal. Now what we will write here? Node day 47 challenge, right? So I will hit enter, and what we get here? First we are getting what? Current date and time, that is 4th December, and the time as well, right? Timestamp we are getting. But here, as I said, we will be getting 0, so we are getting 00, right? But the date it is captured properly, that it is 1st December 2024, right? So this is what we are going to use it, okay? But here the line number 15 we are not going to use. We will be using line number 16, okay? Because we will get our date from here, okay? So now in this question, we will be using this because we are not going to work with the current date and time. So we have to use here line number 16, okay? Now this date object also provides us the method, and we have seen this method, okay, in the previous challenges. The same method we are going to use here again. The method name is what? GetDay method. So this method can be used to extract the day of the week. But this method will not provide you directly Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. No. it will provide you an integer value ranging from 0 to 6. Okay. So if you refer back your day of the week, if I write here, what we have, it starts from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? So if you correspondingly see, we get what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if you refer here, Sunday is 0, Monday is 1, Tuesday is 2, Wednesday is 3, Thursday is 4, Friday is 5, and Saturday will be what? 6. So now we want a weekend, right? So I will write here what weekend. So when will be the weekend from this? If it is 0, it will be Sunday, and if it is 6, it will be Saturday, right? So at 0 and 6, you will be able to get it, right? Weekend. So we can write a condition that if our day of the week, which we are going to get from this get day method, if it is 0, then it is a weekend, or if it is a 6, then also it is a weekend. So then we will be using our pipe symbol, that is nothing but a or operator, to check whether the day is either 0 or either 6. If it is 0, it can be considered as a weekend because it is Sunday. If it is 6 also, it can be considered as a weekend because it is a Saturday. Okay. So where we will write, we will be using our if-else statement as well. Okay. And in this if-else statement, we will be writing here a condition that whether this will be 0 or 6, you give me a true value. That what will be the true value? That's a weekend. And in the else, we will be getting our false value. That is nothing but not a weekend, right? So here we will be printing our false value stating that it's not a weekend. And here, if it is matches the condition, it will return us true, and it will give us what? It's a weekend day. So this is what we are going to do it over here. So we have to use our if else statement also along with our date constructor function. Okay. And then we can just console the appropriate message based on the day of the week. Okay. So that is what we are going to do. So let us write here what? Const date obj. This will hold our date object. Okay. So I will write here new date, and we will pass our date which we are receiving as a params. Okay. So if you console it, you will get your date object. So let us come here and write here date object, and we can just test it in our terminal. So I'll write no day 47 challenge, and I will hit enter. So what do we get? We got our date object, right? So here we have our current date and time as well. So now let us come here, and what we will do, we will use our method on this. So once again, we will declare a variable called as a const day, okay? Because I need to get the day of the week, right? So I will write here what? Const day is equal to date obj dot get day method. You can see it is coming, right? So it's an object and it is giving me, right? So now if you console your day, you will get an integer value. Let us see here what do we get. So I will come here and we will run it out in the terminal. So I will write here no day 47 challenge, and I will hit enter. So what do we get? We got here what? 0. That means it is a weekend, right? So it is starting from 0 to 6. And if you check in your calendar, it was a Sunday itself. So you can go and check this out. So that is why we are getting here as a 0. So now what we will do, now it is only for the 0 we have got. We have to check it for 6 also, right? So we can pass another input string also, which we can get it for 6. So we can pass 7th December also, or we can pass 14 December like that also. That is all Saturdays. We got here what? 0. So this we can easily understand that if it is 0, it is a Sunday, right? Now when we will get Saturday, when it comes out 6, right? You can check the other dates also. You will get the integer value ranging from 0 to 6 itself. Okay. Now what we will do, we will come here and we will test a condition here that if our day is equal to 0, or our day is equal to 6. So we will have to use a comparison operator along with the or operator. Okay. So we will have to check whether it is a weekend, right? So we will check, we have written, right, if it's a 0 or if it's a 6. So we will have to use your comparison operator as well. So day is equal to 0 and day is equal to 6. If that is the case, you just console here what? I will just write here console.log true right now. I will write in the double quotes as a string, and we will come here in an else part. I will write here what? Console.log false. Okay. So let us just rerun it one more time and let us see what do we get here. So I will come here and I will run it, node day 47 challenge, and I will hit enter. What do I get? True. That means this condition is getting satisfied. Okay. So if you see here, we have passed here what? 1st December. That was nothing but Sunday, right? Now I will pass here what? 7 December. Okay. So let us come here and we will invoke it one more time. Is weekend, and we can just write here what? 2024 hyphen 12, and I will write here what? 7. Okay. So let us see what do we get. So we will come here and rerun it. So we will write node day 47 challenge and I will hit enter. What do I get? I got here 6 as a true because this is a Saturday date and this is a Sunday. If you change in between, you will get the false value also. So let us clear the terminal first and we will come here and we will invoke it one more time. Is weekend, and let us pass here what? 2024, and I will pass 12, and let us pass yesterday's date, that is 03. Okay. Let us see what do we get in that case. So let us come here and rerun it now. What do we get? If you see here, we are getting a false statement, right? Why we are getting a false statement? Because integer value is 2. And we have clearly seen here that if it is 0 and if it is 6, then only it will be a weekend, right? Saturday, Sunday, correct? So that is where it is not giving us a true value. It is giving us a false value. Now what we will do, we will improvise our console.log statement. Okay, so we will come here and we will take this input string and we will put it over here. Okay, so let us update this. So I will remove this true and in place of that, I'm going to put it here like this. And here what we have to write, it's not a weekend day, right? So I'll remove this also and I will take here and I'll write, it's not a weekend day. And let us come here and we will clear the terminal and we will rerun it. And let us see what do we get. So if we see here, we are getting, it's a weekend day, it's a weekend day. And here it's not a weekend day. And if you see, we have tested for the 1st also, we have tested for the 3rd December also. Okay, so that means both the inputs we have passed here. Okay, now let us just comment out other console.log. So we will comment out our line number 23, line number 26 also, and line number 29 as well. Okay, and let us clear the terminal and rerun it. So we will come here and we will write here node day 47 challenge and we will hit enter. So what do we get? It's a weekend day. It's a weekend day. It's not a weekend day, right? If you want, you can take your date string here as well and you can just write it. So let us come here and do that as well. So date I will write and let us put here comma. Okay. So that is what we have done here. So let us come here and here also I will write here date and I will put comma. Okay. So let us rerun it and see what do we get. So here we will come and we see here, it's a weekend day. It's a weekend day. It's not a weekend. If you want, you can put here colon also. So then it will add a colon as well. Okay. So let us check that as well. So clear the terminal. So what do we get here if we see this date? 1st December is a weekend day. 7th December is a weekend day. But this one is not a weekend day, right? 3rd December. So we are successfully able to get this. Okay. So this is what it was expected from us. Okay. Now let us have a quick recap of this particular question. Okay. So what it was been asked, it was asked to write a function that takes a date as an input and determine if it falls on a weekend or not, right? And they have given our input string as also 2 input string they gave. We tested with 3 input strings, right? And then what they said in the output, you have to write it's a weekend day. It's not a weekend day, right? So what we did at line number 9, we just understood the question and we analyzed and we defined our function name as what is weekend. And in that question, this was the important part, right? That we have to determine that if it falls on a weekend or not. So we wrote our approach. So what was the approach? That we have to use our date constructor function. In that we used a new keyword. Why? Because since we are using a constructor function, we have to use a new keyword. So new date with a parenthesis. And what does it return? It returns a date object, right? So that is where we tested, right? So in line number 14, we took this input string and we passed the input string to this date constructor function, right? And we got our relevant date and the time was 00 because we did not mention any time, right? So that is why it gave us a time as a 00, okay? And here we tested out that as well, line number 15 and line number 16. Okay. In line number 17, we used a get day method, which is being provided by our date object. What does this method do? It is going to return the integer values, right? 0 to 6. So this method can help us to extract the day of the week, right? And this method returns the integer value from 0 to 6, right? So that is where we understood that 0 will be what? Sunday, 1 will be what? Monday, and so on, right? So that is what clearly we have written here as well, right? So we understood that from this, that when we will have a weekend, when it is 0 and when it is 6, right? So that we tested out with our if condition, right? So in our if condition, we pass that if whatever the day we are getting, if it is 0, it will be considered as a weekend day. If it is a 6, it will be considered as a weekend day, right? So if it is not 0 and 6, then it will be considered that it is not a weekend day. So we used our comparison operator and OR operator to complete this particular question. So now we came to our line number 20. So we used in this question the comparison operator and the OR operator, and then we just console our appropriate message, right, based on the day of the week, correct? So now what we did in our line number 22, what was the approach we have written above from line number 12 to 19? We just put it as a code, right? So what we have done, we came here at line number 22 and we defined our function as isWeekend, and we were receiving a date as a params, right? And then we console this to test it out that the function is running fine or not. Okay. Then we created our date object and we consoled as well, right? And from that date object, we used our get day method. And what this was returning? This was returning a integer value from 0 to 6, right? We tested with different inputs as well. It was returning us a 0 to 6 integer value. Then using that, what we did, this day variable was having our integer value, right? So we came at line number 22 and we defined our function name as isWeekend, and we were receiving our params, right, as a date. And we consoled here to check whether the function is running fine or not, right? After that, we created our date object where we were passing our param, right? So that is what we have done here, and we consoled it out and we tested in the terminal also, right? And then on this date object, we used our get day method, right, which was returning our integer value, right, from 0 to 6, right? So that is what we stored it in our day, correct? So at line number 31, we used our if condition and we tested that if our day is holding 0 or if our day is holding 6, then you please print it's a weekend day. Otherwise, you print it's not a weekend day, right? And we also improvise the console by passing the date as well here. Okay, so we can see that out. And after that, what we did from line number 37 to 39, we invoked this function. So at line number 37 to 39, we invoked this function 3 times with different input string, and we saw that we were getting the exact output. Okay, so let us come here and clear the terminal and we will just test it out once again. So I will write here what node day 47 challenge and I will hit enter. So we get here proper with respect to each date. We have printed that whether it's a weekend or not, right? So that is what we have done. So this is what it was expected from us, right? So I'll tell you why this challenge is important, because working with the days of the week is essential in applications like scheduling, event management, and calendars as well. So that's all for today, guys. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more daily coding content. And I will see you tomorrow with another exciting challenge. So thank you so much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.